Hey friends, thank you so much for tuning in. So for today's video, I have some of my favorite Dollar Tree DIY spring and Easter crafts, and I'm even redoing the giant carrot, which was highly requested in one of my previous videos. So stick around and let's start with the easiest one, and we're gonna start in the kitchen section of Dollar Tree. You can find jars in the kitchen section of Dollar Tree, or you can use leftover ones. It's totally up to you, but this is the perfect craft to try if you have a jar. You're going to grab some sort of sticker paper. I'm using shipping labels from Dollar Tree because they're a nice size, and I am going to draw a bunny. Now this is really easy to do. Just grab a little circle shape and then draw 2 bunny ears. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, because these are shipping labels, you can always print directly on them and then cut out the shape. So I'm just making sure that the shape is how I like it and cutting it down. Now here's why I recommend using some sort of sticker paper. You can just peel the back off and place it directly onto your jar. If you want to use regular paper, you can, but you would have to use some sort of glue or tape and then take it off. I'm spray painting directly on top of this, and I'm spray painting onto my piece of cardboard first to make sure that my spray paint is not going to splatter all over the place, and then on the jar. And boom, once it's dry, you can go ahead and peel that off. Now, because I didn't cover the top, I did get some spray paint on the inside, but that's totally okay because we can wipe that down. Now I'm gonna wipe that down using alcohol. I always keep alcohol in a little spray jar. The spray jar is from Dollar Tree. This just comes in handy when it comes to crafting. Now you can outline if you really don't like it. I am using blue cue cards from Dollar Tree, and I taped it on the inside and putting in some candy because you don't want to fill this whole thing up. Put the lid on top and your favorite floral, and boom. I'm going to show you how to spruce up this piece of wood using Dollar Tree items and very little effort. So this you can find in the seasonal section of Dollar Tree. They have Welcome Spring, Happy Easter, whatever you want. Now, I really like the galvanized look, but you can always spray paint it if you don't. I'm just going to hot glue it in place, and then I'm going to use these cutouts from Dollar Tree. I painted these to give the sign a little detail, hot glued it to the corner, and then added one of the Dollar Tree carrots onto the other side, and boom, look how cute this is. Now this next craft can be used for spring, Easter, weddings, baby showers. You can customize this however you want. I found these candle holders at Dollar Tree, and these are my favorite because I don't feel bad spray painting them weird colors since they are only $1.25 and look so good. So this pink, at first I was a little disappointed because I didn't really think the color really popped until I did this transition, and I was like, okay, you know what? It pops. In the floral section of Dollar Tree, I picked up this floral foam, which is kind of, tapered in, and I'm just going to push it in, but not all the way. But I want to make sure I take my time with this so it's nice and even and it's not lopsided. So once I have it in, this is what it looks like. Now, yes, of course, Dollar Tree has floral and it's amazing, but I really love Walmart's floral because a lot of it is 97 cents. And look at this. It's so much cheaper. And listen, I get it. A lot of people get upset because it's not an all Dollar Tree craft when you swap out floral. But honestly, you're saving money and it just looks a whole lot better. Another option is to mix and match. So use floral from both locations, which I do in a lot of crafts. So I am taking this and arranging it not even. So I'm putting some stems sticking out a little bit more than others. And to work a little bit faster, I'm clipping them all off of the main stem so that I can arrange it how I like. Now, for one candle holder, I did end up using, I believe, 4 of the little bundles, the 97-cent bundles. and it looked really, really full. So again, you'll see right here, I'm pushing this flower all the way in, and I'm using the greenery that comes with it to cover up the foam. I am going to leave the top exposed because it's going to be covered up anyway. So I'm working my way around, checking everything out, and so far, I really love how this looks. This is 4 of the bundles. You can put a Dollar Tree LED candle on there. Please don't use a real one, as this is all made of plastic and it could be a huge fire hazard. So stick to LED candles if you do plan on using this. But look how pretty this looks. This is a lot more neutral. I am going to set up the other one because I want to show you what I did with it in pairs. And I think that this is great for Easter, but also as a baby shower centerpiece would be really, really pretty. In the Dollar Tree Plus section, they have these adorable bunnies. The one up top are $5 and the bottom ones are $3. But if you don't want to spend the $5 or $3 in the regular Easter section, they have plush bunnies that you can use for this project as well. So there's so many options, but I really loved these and how it looked. And oh my gosh, I think it's gorgeous. Let me know what you think. In the Crafter Square section of Dollar Tree, you can find beaded wreaths like this and also in a natural finish. Now I'm just going to do the easiest craft ever, which is take this and make it into a beautiful wreath. So I am using bunny ears. You can buy your bunny ears from Dollar Tree, or you can get them for wherever you want, as long as you like them. These have wire on the inside, which came in handy, because I'm just going to go ahead and twist the wire around some of the beads. If it does not have the wire, then just hot glue or some popsicle sticks to hold it in place would work. Just make sure that you are putting hot glue onto the beads so that it doesn't roll around. So that this doesn't look super messy, I'm going to cover it with floral. This is what I'm using. Dollar Tree has a ton of floral, but I wanted something a little smaller. So I got this from Walmart. This was $3.47, but look how big the bundle is and look how many roses and greenery that it brings. So I think it's totally worth it, but you use what you have. So I'm taking it apart to make it last, and that way I can use it for other crafts. And I'm just lining it with greenery first, like I always do, and then adding the other set of greenery that comes with the floral and the flowers on top. I still have a ton of flowers and greenery left over, and look how cute this looks. For this next one, you're going to need 2 of these egg garlands and a Dollar Tree pizza pan. So this is really convenient because it's already strung together, but of course I made my life a little more difficult and I took it apart because I wanted to paint them, but I didn't want to paint them all one color. If you want to make your life easy, just paint them all one color or don't paint them at all. For the pizza pan, I'm going to paint this as well, but I'm going to remove that top coating so that my paint has a fighting chance of staying on. If you don't remove this, and then it's going to chip off. And I'm using just regular white primer. For the eggs that I'm going to paint, I used a rose gold, and this I buy at Michael's. I've used some from Rust-Oleum, but they end up looking more copper. And then I'm using this Cricut Premium Vinyl. It's textured, and while it's not the same shade, it still gives a really, really cool effect. I'm not doing anything intricate because I don't want to have to use transfer tape. So I just did a bunny silhouette which I could just pull off with my hands and not have any issues. I'm gonna put that in the middle of my pizza pan, and this is really dry. I let it dry for a few days so that I don't have any issues. Now it is time for the cool part, and it is putting together our border. If you notice, these eggs have seams, but don't worry about it. We're gonna worry about that later. For now, you're just gonna need regular string, which we're not gonna see, and an upholstery needle. If you do not have an upholstery needle, in the hair section of Dollar Tree, they have a little pack of hair weaving needles. So basically it's 2 sets and string, and it's used for hair extensions, to make clip-ins, sew-ins, all that jazz, but it works very well for crafting. It's the same darn thing. So you can use that as well. I didn't count how many eggs I used, but I did have some eggs left over. I'm going to start with the pink, and I'm going to make sure that the seams are facing out, not up. It's a lot easier to disguise it if they're facing out to the side than up. And I'm gluing. This, I was really scared that I was going to have a huge gap, but honestly, I didn't. I did have to tilt one, but it looked really nice, even with that little tilt. You're going to want to make this craft. Make sure you go to the cleaning section of Dollar Tree and get yourself a broomstick. We are remaking the carrot. You're also going to need these cones, and you're going to cut off the border using some really sharp scissors. This is really easy to do. You're also going to need these items from Dollar Tree. These are all in the regular section of Dollar Tree, and you're going to hot glue this piece of foam on the inside, a huge dollop of glue. Make sure that you're super careful when you're doing this. Now, so far, we are taking the exact same steps as the first carrot, but trust me, this one turned out so much better. I'm going to take my stick and try and get it in as straight as possible, and I'm going to add a huge dollop of glue to keep it in place. Make sure that your hot glue gun is really hot and that you're holding it until it sets. Now, to keep it nice and upright while it is drying, I am going to take some paper, but before then, I do my little dance. I'm basically just using packing paper to keep it in place. You can use whatever you want. If you have spray foam, you can do that, but this is the cheapest option because it's free. I'm just balling it up and shoving it in there just to make sure that the stick doesn't move around, especially after I start adding everything else. So just pack it with as much as you can. You can even use old bags if you want to. Now that it's set in place, you're going to want to go ahead and take that stick and shove it into the foam that you added. And this is where the change happens. Instead of using just tape, I'm using these bamboo skewers. They do have them at Dollar Tree. However, I found that it was cheaper to buy them at Walmart because Walmart at the time had them for 97 cents. Where Dollar Tree, of course, has them for $1.25. And I'm going to go ahead and add this all the way around. Now, to make sure that it didn't move at all and so I can work a little quicker, I used some Dollar Tree duct tape. I am going to use this for the rest of the carrot as well. So I grabbed little bits and just added them to the bottom because it did keep on coming apart. Again, if you want to use spray foam, totally up to you, but that does bring the cost up. This is what it looks like, and now I'm going to cover this in tape just so that you don't see the sticks at the bottom. You can cover it with something else if that makes it a little more appealing to you, but Dollar Tree tape is what I'm going with here, which is the same thing I did for the first one, but it had no support at the bottom. So I think that with the sticks, this is definitely an improvement. This is what it's looking like, and I am gonna go ahead and cover this up. The last time I used regular fabric that I cut into strips, and honestly, I did not love how that looked. So this time I'm going to use burlap. Dollar Tree has burlap, but the trouble of painting this was just not worth it for me. So I used burlap that I bought at Hobby Lobby with a coupon. But again, if you have the patience, you can use the Dollar Tree burlap and just paint it whatever color you want. I basically started at the bottom and just worked my way around, trying to get this as tight as possible. In the last carrot, I was going up and down. For the top, I'm gonna grab some Dollar Tree foam and the rest of the burlap and wrap it around, and then stick my Dollar Tree greenery on top of that so that I can create the top, and then I'm gonna glue it in place. Once it is nice and secure and glued in place, boom! Look at how great this looks. In the picture frame section of Dollar Tree, you can find picture frames just like this. These are my favorite. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it seasonal. Now I'm paying attention to the size of this photo because I do want to print a photo out that would fit nicely. I'm grabbing these bunny ears from Dollar Tree, and I'm doing it the lazy way because I'm not going to take it off of the headband. I'm just going to directly glue it because I'm not hanging this on a wall. But if you were, then please remove it from the headband. Now I'm grabbing these bunny butts from Dollar Tree and I'm taking off just the little feet. You can also repurpose the tail if you want, or make these out of felt yourself so that you're not spending the extra $1.25. Now I just looked up free vintage bunny picture. I printed that out in the 4x6 size, and boom, look how cute. Run to the toy section of Dollar Tree and get yourself this little toy swing. The moment I saw it, I knew I was going to make something with it. So this was my perfect chance. I'm gonna put it together. Now I should have sanded it before putting it together, but you definitely want to spray paint it while it's assembled. And you wanna do that so that when you finally do put it together, none of your paint is chipping off, because this is plastic and it is delicate. So you're gonna wipe down before you spray paint. And here I am using the color Hunter Green, mainly because it is the only color I had left in my garage. And yes, I'm painting in my garage because it is very cold outside still. And I am doing this in very, very thin coats and many coats. You can find this and Jenga pieces in the toy section of Dollar Tree. So I'm going to take some of the pieces and I'm going to make a little box similar to what we did with the Jenga pieces. And this, it really does matter if this is nice and straight. So with the Jenga pieces that I had left over, I'm making 3 little slats and hot gluing, and then I'm going to flip that over. I'm stacking 3 of them, or maybe 4. I think I did 4. Then I'm taking 2 Jenga pieces and adding them to the side. Normally I recommend wood glue, but I was in a hurry. So I got this in the hardware section of Dollar Tree, and it has these little eye hooks. And I'm using a really thin drill bit to add them to the 4 sides. So as you can see, I'm sure you figured it out, I'm making a little swing. I'm just making a nicer swing, but you'll see why I'm making a little swing. It'll make sense in a little bit. Once it's together, boom! One of my favorite things at Dollar Tree are the canvases. They come in so handy, and I still have the old ones. I still have so many of the old ones before they change the logo. I usually use a little upholstery staple removal for this, but this time I'm keeping it easy and I'm just cutting this down. However, I'm being very careful because I am going to use the actual canvas part. Now that I have this, I am going to save the wood and in Cricut Design Space. This is what I created. Now these are the fonts and the images that I use. They are Cricut Access fonts. And the way that I made this fit my canvas is I basically measured it and created the square on the inside, and then I hid it before I cut it out and use my pen. For this, I'm using my pen. I really wanted this to look like this was drawn onto the canvas, so you could print it on regular paper, but I think having it on canvas looks so cool, and it's pretty awesome that your Cricut can do this and you don't have to waste ink. Now I'm going to secure it in place, and I'm actually using two canvases for this. The smaller one, I put a little greenery on there, a little pizzazz, and I'm going to secure that one in place first so that it doesn't move around and cover my letters. This was a last minute decision because I thought just the top canvas looked a little plain, and then I secured the sides. Now I added some more floral because it looked a little bare. And then those little cutouts, which I love so much, to the bottom. And how cute is this? In the seasonal section of Dollar Tree, they have these carrots, and this year and last year they had both large and small. You can also find this berry garland in the seasonal section of Dollar Tree, but sometimes they do have it year-round. So I am going to make a carrot wreath. This is very similar to one I made a few years ago just using regular rope, and instead of hot glue, I like to use twine so that I can reuse these carrots in case Dollar Tree stops selling them. They're notorious for having great items and then not selling them, so I'm using big and small. And then for a little bit more detail, I used this sign from Dollar Tree and I took those bunnies off. Now this I did attach using hot glue because I just didn't have the patience to try and loop it on there. So forgive me for that. So I'm just hot gluing them into place. Now using this very small garland, you can use it on its own or you can use it to fill up an existing garland like this. In the kitchen section, I found these Dollar Tree dish pans, I think they are. Not totally sure. But I had a brilliant idea that almost went sour. Stay with me here. I decided to cut off the edges of this, which was completely unnecessary. But of course, I'm going to put this in because, you know, why not? Safety first. So I did put on glasses after realizing this was dangerous, and I cut the rest of it down. Again, unnecessary when you see what I am making, but if anybody else has had this idea, don't cut the edges off of this. That's when I realized it. So I got one of these Crafter Square burlap things, and when I opened it up and measured just how big this would be on the basket was a little too big, which is why I cut down the edges, which was silly. I could have just covered it in something else. I didn't cut off the top lip though. I made sure to iron my fabric before using it because I know it was going to bother me if it did have those creases in them. If you are recreating this at home, skip the cutting. Just cover up the edges with what I ended up covering them up with anyway. Which, by the way, is this beautiful burlap ribbon, which you can find in the crafting section of Dollar Tree. This is what the craft should have started with, and it would have been a lot sturdier because I wouldn't have cut off the support. But we live and we learn, right? Right. So I'm making sure that it is all tucked in, even though you're not going to see this part, but it's important to make it look nice. So now I am going to use the pretty burlap that I have, and I'm going to cover the backside. And you'll see why in a second. So here I am. I'm trying to do the sides as tight as possible so that there's not slack. And the top that I left the lip on, that is not going to be covered because that's going to be open. The sides, instead of folding them in, I am going to cut them. So once I glue that down, I'm just going to try and be as neat as possible, even though this is, it's fine. Burlap isn't supposed to look neat. By the way, let me know what y'all prefer to see. I want to know if you want the slower, more detailed videos where I take my time with crafts and show different angles, or the speedier videos. I've done a mix of both before on this channel. If you've been with me for a really long time, you know that I used to do videos that were 2 minutes long and it was just one single craft. So what do you guys want? I wish I had a poll option. I don't, but let me know. What do you like? I know that some people prefer the speedier videos, but then I always get complaints that I'm going a little too fast or that I'm not explaining enough. And then vice versa, I'm explaining too much. So here I am, basically just covering the edges. I'm leaving the top by itself. Also, I have no idea why I was making this face, but yeah, what is this? Anyway, for the top, I'm just gonna flip it over and then just flip it up to have a little lip, and then I'm gonna hot glue the sides in place. I wanted to get it as tight as possible so that it wouldn't slouch forward. I didn't want to do any sewing or anything special, just a good old hot glue gun. I love abusing my hands because, as you can tell, I don't wear any protection. Why? Because it just gets in the way. So you're gonna catch little glimpses of me getting burned really bad here. That's the norm on this channel, if this is your first time watching. Anywho, so now that this is done and this is open, I am going to add some foam here so that I can add floral. So this is the foam that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and I am gonna cut this in half so that I can make it work and save a little money because we don't need the flowers to go all the way down. So I'm going to position it, measure it out, cut some foam, and don't worry, that knife is not used for food. That is specifically my crafting knife. I know a lot of people have commented that before. That's just a knife in my craft room. So here I am, gluing these into place, making sure that they are secured before moving on or attempting to put any of the floral in. My goal here was to try and make an Easter basket wreath. So I picked this up from the Crafter Square section of Dollar Tree since it already had wire on the inside, and I really like that it's beaded. And I'm going to take this apart and hot glue it into place. So I made sure that it had the shape that I wanted. Make sure that you do that before gluing it down, and then hot glue it. I do not show myself hot gluing because apparently I just forgot to film, but here where I'm positioning it, I'm just adding glue to the plastic and it holds really tree, and I did cover up that little hole. I painted it pink just to make it look more like a basket and not just a box on my wall. This is the color that I used. Hot glued it to the front, and again, I'm using a mix of florals, so a little bit of Dollar Tree, a little bit of Walmart, a little bit of everything. And then I'm using some Dollar Tree little bunny carrots and eggs, and I think this looks super cute. It almost missed the mark. I'm not gonna lie, it almost did. But in the end, I think it turned out really cute. Now, to put this onto your door, which I recommend this be an indoor wreath, you're gonna wanna hang it through these little things over here. You're not gonna wanna hang it through that handle. It's just gonna swing, it's gonna fall. You might wanna use it as, something to level, but definitely not hang it this way. I use these hooks from Dollar Tree on the back side. I also use these clear ones on my door normally. So this is how I position them. That way it's nice and leveled. And you can go ahead and make sure that this is nice and straight with a level. I'm more of an eyeball type of gal. So that's exactly what I did. I used the hook that I had on there just to kind of hold it in place. And you can see it does hold, but again, that's not what we're using to secure it. I added my hooks, and I think this turned out really cute. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be using the Dollar Tree flour sack towels. These disappear for a little bit, but when they reappear, I always buy a ton. because they are so soft and they are so big that you can trim these down and actually make 4 napkins out of these or make giant pillows. It's just a really nice size. So I'm actually going to wash this in very, very hot water with some Dawn dish soap. And I'm doing this because we are going to dye this. Now that I have washed it while it is still soaking wet, I'm going to bring water to kind of a soft boil, and with some Rit dye, I'm not going to do the whole thing because I don't want a super dark color. I'm just going to add maybe a capful of each color. I'm trying to create a custom color, but honestly, I think only really the pink took. So now I'm going to mix that up and I'm going to start to dip in. This looks really cool as is. I should have just kind of done a nice little gradient effect, but I dyed the entire thing. You're gonna do this for 15 minutes. The directions are in the back of the Rit bottle. Make sure you use a fixative afterwards and wash. I'm gonna create a design using Cricut Design Space and my Cricut Maker 3. If you haven't heard of Cricut, it's a die cutting machine which allows you to cut various materials using blades. You can cut vinyl, felt, wood, cardboard. You can also use pens and markers and emboss. For this tutorial, I'm using iron-on, so remember, shiny side down. You want the shiny part, which is your carrier sheet, at the bottom so you don't actually leave your vinyl uncut. You want your vinyl on top. Now I will list every single one of the SVGs that I use, so open up that description and all your information is there. I'm cutting this out, and again, shiny side down, and if it matters, then you mirror. My image, it doesn't matter if he's facing left, if he's facing right, but if you are using font, make sure that you mirror. That's super important. I cut out 4 because I'm making 4 of the little dinner cloth napkin things, and I'm cutting them down. Remember, the shiny side is going to be the side that is safe for your iron or your heat press to touch. I usually just go on the Cricut website and see what their recommendations are for each material. I'm using my mini press, and it says level 2, 15 seconds up top, and then flip it over and another 15 seconds behind, and then you have this super beautiful custom dinner napkin cloth thing, whatever, and you can add as much vinyl as you want. Ever since I saw these little wood cutouts at Dollar Tree, I was obsessed, and I love that they don't have little holes on them, so I knew I had to create something, and funny me, I ended up creating a hole in them anyway. To do this without hurting myself, I used a crate and a very, very, very small drill bit. Make sure your fingers are out of the way, and you really don't have to do this. You can just use hot glue for the next step, but I kind of wanted this to look like a napkin holder that I saw on, I want to say Pottery Barn, I'm not sure. I'll see if I can link it below, but here is a hack for you. So I'm actually using a font that is meant for writing, so you're not supposed to cut it with vinyl. So I tried this, I saw this on TikTok, that instead of weeding this out, you kind of just put the whole thing on your surface and then you pull up. And I was amazed because none of it came up. It was my fault because I didn't weld the letters, so there were some pieces that did kind of move around, but look how good that looks for such a thin font. So whenever you have thin font, do it that way. Now, instead of using napkin rings, because I haven't seen them in Dollar Tree for a long time, I'm using book rings and raffia, and I'm going to tie that, or hot glue, whatever you prefer, and then wrap that around. So this is kind of why I say the hole isn't really necessary. You can skip this and just hot glue it onto the little ring, but I'll see if I can link the picture below. I saw it in like one of those sale things on the gram, and I really liked how it looked, so this is how I styled it. I love it. Dollar Tree or personal care section of Dollar Tree, sometimes you will find shirts and tank tops, and you can find shirts like this, or you can use a shirt from your home. I'm cutting it down just the bottom because it's the widest section of the shirt, And now for the rest of the craft, I did do this a little bit backwards, but it worked out in the end. I'm using these bunny butts from Dollar Tree, and then I am hot gluing them after removing the stick, which was a little bit of a pain in the butt. So I'm putting one in the middle and two on the sides. You can just put one, you can put none, whatever you want. And then before I move on to anything else, I'm going to flip this inside out so that I can take care of the part that doesn't really have a seam. You can sew this, you can use fabric glue, witch's stitch, or whatever it's called, whatever you have on hand. But I am hot gluing because whenever I use anything else, I get so many people upset in the comments that I am not using hot glue for some reason. So I'm going to flip it back to the other side, and then I'm going to stuff it using an old pillow. If you have a pillow that is stinky or isn't comfy, use that pillow. Get yourself a new pillow. This is the perfect time to get yourself a new pillow because you're going to make a craft with your old one. Once it's nice and full, I'm going to close up that top piece, and then I'm grabbing another set of bunny ears from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut these down, and then I'm going to make sure that I hot glue them so they don't fall apart. And then I'm going to glue them onto the top. I love 3D pillows for some reason. I love 3D anything, if you can tell by this video. And I'm going to put it in the middle, or as close to the middle as I can. Full disclosure, this craft was a lot more challenging for me than the actual challenging craft because I'm not a purple person. I am not friends with the color purple. We do not get along. I think it turned out pretty well considering it's not my favorite color, but let me know what you think. Head to the toy section of Dollar Tree and you will find the tumbling tower, Jenga, whatever you want to call it. I've done so many crafts using this, and this one is going to be super basic. I am just stacking 3 together, making sure they're nice and straight, and then I'm making 4 of these because I'm going to make a little box or a crate, if you will. Then I'm attaching them, making sure that I'm really careful because I did get burned. Don't be like me. And once I have those 4 together, I'm going to pick the side that looks the nicest, and then I'm going to drop one Jenga piece at the bottom so that it gives whatever I put in it a little bit of support. Using the cutouts from the Crafter's Square section or seasonal section, which was also in the mystery box, I've painted them different colors. I'm going to go ahead and grab some floral and cut it down to the size of the inside of the crate so that it fits nicely. And this is going to take a little bit of wiggling around, but I'm going to hot glue it into place and then put some decorative grass on the inside, my little egg or cutout, and then I just braided some twine together to make a little handle on the sides. You can make a basket, but the reason I'm doing handles is because I'm putting stuff in the middle. So once I'm done, boom. I have collected so many Dollar Tree frames over the years, and I'm going to start using them in all sorts of crafts. This one's actually relatively new, and they do come in 8x10 as well. So this project would have been a lot easier had I done a bigger size, but I wanted something compact. So I'm going to take it apart and then remove those little prongs. You want to pull outward and not up so that you don't mess up your frame. And then you just want to put this to the side because we are going to use the glass. The glass is the star of the show. This is what I'm going to be using. Again, I will link this below. This is Cricut Access Mosaic Bunny, and I'm using permanent vinyl. I'm using permanent vinyl so that if at any point I do have to wipe this down, Windex it, or whatever, I don't feel like it's lifting up. So once I have this, because the middle is basically going to go to waste, I do have a little bonus craft, so I'm going to pull this up without any transfer tape, just that middle piece, and put it on a canvas. I didn't do anything with it because that wasn't part of my original plan, but I didn't want it to go to waste because it's such a cute bunny silhouette. So that's an idea to do with an extra piece of vinyl. This did take a while to weed, but it was very, very easy to get it onto the transfer tape and off of the transfer tape. probably because it was so thin. This is the easiest way to get transfer tape on. Just peel and fold a piece back and then pull from the bottom and smooth out. To remove it from that, flip that over, and you're going to want to pull downward. But first, let's clean our glass. I'm using alcohol, but you can use Windex. I am going to paint this, so I don't want any fuzzies to be trapped underneath. Look how insanely easy this is to pull up and to put on the glass. Super satisfying. After you do this, you can either leave it like this or you can paint it. Now, I didn't have glass paint, so we are going to make our own. It's extremely easy, and you probably have the stuff to do it at home. I'm using Mod Podge and food coloring, both from Dollar Tree, and I'm putting these in the little tray things that they sell from Dollar Tree, and I'm mixing up different shades of the same color just so I have dimension, but you can totally skip this. This is only if you want to be extra. When I do start painting, I am going to start dabbing the color on rather than streaking, but first I want to secure this into my frame so that I am not knocking over my glass. After you've got all of your colors in place, make sure that you let this dry really, really well. And when it dries, it looks like this. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. Leave me a comment, let me know which one is your favorite. Did you prefer the updated carrot? And as usual, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.